Over the weekend, we saw a couple of events unfold. The first thing being Prager U getting banned from the Google Play Store, but soon after, getting unbanned. Google says that this was made in error, but I don't believe them. The next thing we saw was the IDF go into Gaza, where Hamas was keeping hostages and free 5 of them. But of course, that's not what the media is paying attention to. Instead, they are paying attention to how many people were guarding the scene so hostages cannot be saved. Sad and pathetic. Without further ado, let's begin.
Facts over tracks, this and that, spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas, think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past.
So, with that being said, we do have an article from the Daily Wire talking about this issue here. Google claims that conservative content booted from Play Store was an error, which I don't really believe them because Google has just suppressed conservatives so many times throughout the years that why would I trust them now? Why would I trust an organization that has gone and disobeyed the fundamental bedrock of our society, which is having a free and open dialogue in the public sphere, which is the Google search engine. The Google search engine is what people rely on to get all of their information from. So if somebody blocks a certain news organization off the platform or boots them to the 50th result page, then nobody's going to see their results. Thus, they will not get any clicks on their page. Thus, they will not make any money as a news company. So Google actively does this in YouTube channels. They actively do this on Google search results. And then they're doing this now in the Google Play Store. But now in the Google Play Store, we're supposed to believe them when they say it's an error? Nah, I don't believe them. Conservative media organization Pragur U was kicked off the Google Play Store on Friday shortly after it released its documentary, Dear Infos, a warning to America, but the big tech company said that the suppression was a mistake, which does not make any sense. Google notified Pragur U that it has violated its hate speech policy, according to a screenshot shared by a conservative nonprofit, and the app was booted from the Android user's mobile store. The Jerusalem Post reported that the big tech giant also told Pragur U that its app went under a review, which found content or speech asserting that a protected group is inhumane, inferior, or worthy to be hated. Hours later, however, Google said that the app has been reinstated after further re-review, and a Google spokesperson told the Washington Examiner that the suppression was made in error. So a rogue employee banned Prager U on the App Store. So one employee has the right to do this. And then another employee said, no. The backlash from this is going to be unobtainable and unrecognizable. So we're just going to just let them go back on the App Store now. So why did they get the ultimate decision on to allow that? That doesn't make any sense here. And in an email from Google, they said our recently removed app is now available after further re-review. Prager U wrote on X, "Thank you to all of our amazing supporters that have helped us publicize the issue to force Google to reverse their earlier decision to remove our app from the App Store entirely. The new documentary that Prager U suspected was the reason Google's suspension of the App Store. The new documentary that Prager U suspected was the reason Google's suspension from the app features first-hand accounts from those who elapsed Islamic rule and have come to warn America. Radical Islam poses a significant threat to our freedom. The democracy description states the rise of anti-American rhetoric and violence in our cities and universities is a direct result from the indoctrination led by those perpetrating a religious war against the West. Prager U, which was started by a conservative writer and radio show host Dennis Prager, has been targeted by Google and YouTube in the past. The organization has sued the big tech platforms, restricting over 200 videos, which is a lot, including videos of the 10 Commandments, which include to be restricted by YouTube today, Prager U said. Prager U lost its 2017 First Amendment lawsuit against Google after a conservative organization argued that Google and YouTube was favoring left-wing channels over Prager U's channel, which is completely true. Because of the fact that you can just look at the view count and you can see the subscribers that Prager U has, and then compare that to other channels which has similar subscribers. You can see that Prager U isn't getting the same amount of views, and it's not because people aren't clicking on the video. No, it's because Google is not actively pushing out the video as much as it does for other people. You see the same exact stuff on your homepage all the time, and it's disappointing because you want to see other content. You always see the same content. And then now they just brought out this Google AI type thing, which tries to recommend you videos based on your history, which is what Google's supposed to be doing in the first place. So it's not fixing the issue, it's only making the issue worse here. And then the AI is favoriting certain people over certain people over other people. So that's also not a good thing whatsoever. So digging into the next article, we actually have a Federalist article. We have foreign-born workers dominate United States job gains while native-born Americans struggle. Now, of course, this has been an issue in America because of the fact that illegal immigrants can just come in here and they can work underneath the table and get paid a lot less than what a person that is going to be legal citizens and stuff like that is going to be working. Because what happens is the industries take advantage of the illegal citizen status, and they know that if they complain about the working situation and stuff like that, they would just tell ICE, and then they'll just get deported back to Mexico. So they don't want to go through any of that, so they just comply with whatever the worker tells them to do. It's not right, but it's also, you need to go back to your own country anyway. So also at the same exact time, I don't really care. But at the same time, that's why these companies can get away with it. So with that being said, though President Joe Biden touts the economy under his administration, polls constantly show Americans are sour on the state of economic affairs, probably because an economics E.J. Antony told the Federalist the economy has only been adding jobs that has been held by foreign-born workers, while native-born Americans are losing jobs, of course, because like I just said, the aforementioned reasons, and because of the fact that we can see this in real time. If you try to apply for a job, you're most likely not going to get it. My friend has been applying to jobs for the last year and he still can't get a job. It's not because he doesn't have an extensive resume. He does have an extensive resume. Everybody's hiring, but nobody's actually hiring, if you know what I mean. So, data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the BLS, for the month of May shows that foreign-born workers in the United States gained 637,000 jobs year over year, while native-born workers lost nearly 299,000. The BLS acknowledges foreign-born workers includes illegal immigrants. It is likely that both surveys include at least some undocumented immigrants. However, neither the establishment nor the household survey is designed to identify the legal statute in the status of workers, the BLS states, adding they have no idea how many of native-born workers are illegal. Antony pointed out in a post that on X that native-born employment is only millions below pre-pandemic trend, but even below pre-pandemic level, while millions more foreign workers are employed today, February of 2020, and back to trend. The left has tried to spin the taking of American jobs by foreign-born workers as propelling the economy, which is not true whatsoever. Because it's not propelling the economy, because who's going to be spending the money in the economy? It's not the illegal immigrants, no, it's the American citizens that are going to be doing that. The foreign citizens are going to be spending the money at home, in their home country, sending over their paycheck like my grandma used to do. When my grandma first came to this country, she used to send her paycheck over to her family members in Greece. So that's exactly what used to happen. And she didn't spend any money here in America at all. So that's probably what's still happening till today. Ask an illegal immigrant what they're doing with the money, please. PBS News argues that illegal immigrants who broke the law to get here in most cases have meritless asylum claims are somehow responsible for saving the economy. Thousands of employers desperately needed the new arrivals. The economy and consumer spending had roared back to pre-pandemic recession. Companies were struggling to hire enough workers to keep up with customer orders, but Antony explains that to the Federalist, the drain on the economy surely offsets their production value. When they make these claims about how illegal immigration has helped the United States economy, they're always talking about things like, here are all the jobs that they do. They never talk about the costs that illegal immigration imposes, Antony argued. These people are using emergency rooms and they're not paying their hospital bills. These people have their kids in public schools, which they're not paying taxes to fund. Illegal immigrants are imposing serious and significant costs, he continued. Housing is another huge one. Where are these 12 plus million illegal aliens staying? They're staying in apartments. They're staying in houses, which means that they're increasing demand on the driving up rent prices. So you can say that they're adding production to the economy, but they're also adding significant costs, which I completely agree with. They're also staying at hotels at the same exact time. So this is getting pretty expensive for the United States government. The jobs report also showed the full-time jobs decreased by 625,000 when compared to April, while part-time employed workers grew by 286,000. At least 16,000 additional workers were reported to be holding at least 2 jobs when compared to April. The Biden administration has touted a strong labor market, but jobs gain were largely concentrated in healthcare, government, and leisure and hospitality. While the unemployment rate increased slightly to 4%, Anthony explains in a post on X that there are millions of people missing from the labor market who are not included in the unemployment rate. If those people were included, the unemployment suddenly jumps anywhere from 6.5% to 8%, depending on the methodology. The BLS estimates that there are 5.7 million people who are not in the labor force but currently want a job. Of course, my friend's one of these people right here. These individuals were not counted as unemployed because they were not actively looking for work during the 4 weeks preceding the survey or were unavailable to take a job, according to BLS. Before the pandemic, this number was actually trending down, of course, and it peaked in 2018 because the labor market was so strong in 2018 to 2019 under Trump. Of course, if you wanted a job under Trump, you got a job under Trump. That number was trending down. In other words, people who previously had left the labor force were re-entering because it was basically so easy to get a job, good paying blue-collar jobs. And so not only are we well above the pre-pandemic level, we are way above the pre-pandemic level trend in terms of people missing from the labor force. Of course, everything that Trump did, Joe Biden just contradicted and then destroyed. So he didn't want to see any Trump policy in his administration whatsoever. And that's disgusting because Trump did so many good things for this economy. So with that being said, we're going to be digging into the headlines of the week. So we see here from the Daily Wire, Israeli hostages reunite with her father after 8 months in Hamas captivity. So after being abducted by Hamas on October 7th, terrorist attack, Israeli hostage Noura Argamini was rescued along with 3 other hostages by the Israeli Defense Forces on Saturday morning and reunited with her father after 8 months in captivity. A video posted to X showed the 25-year-old woman embracing her father after landing in Israel. Now, a lot of people are taking her smiling face and saying, look how smiling she is. She's so happy. After 8 months of being in captivity from Hamas, they treated her so nicely. No, that's not true at all. She's happy because she's seeing her father for this first time in 8 months. She's not happy because she was with Hamas. She's happy because of the fact that she's seeing her father again. And she's just thankful to be there. That's why she's happy. She's not happy because Hamas took her. She's happy because of the fact that she finally got to get released by Hamas. That's why she's happy. And she was also one of the other 2 subjects of videos released by Hamas that teased her fate, as terrorists claimed to show the dead bodies of the 2 other hostages. Along with Aragamni, the IDF rescued Almog Mayerjan, 21, Andrew Kulzadov, and Solomsky Jzov, 40 years old. The Israeli Special Forces conducted raids on 2 locations in central Gaza on Saturday morning, resulting in 3 of the hostages at the one location and finding the 4th hostage at a second location. Another video posted on social media showed the moment Marjan and Kulzov landed in Israel. Marjan appeared to raise his hands in celebration as IDF soldiers escorted the free hostages to the hospital, of course. I would be very thankful for the IDF after that, too. All 4 of the hostages were in good condition, according to the IDF. Israelis across the country and the world celebrated the news of the successful rescue mission. One video showed a lifeguard in Tel Aviv beach announcing the 4 hostages has been rescued, and the beachgoers were responding with cheers, which is a really good thing, by the way, because of the fact that this unites their country once and for all, because of the fact that we have been waiting months and months and months for these innocent people to be released from Hamas. They were taken by Hamas for no reason whatsoever. So with that being said, we do have another article from the Daily Wire. We have Trump poses a major tax change for workers who get tips. If you work in the service industry, most of your pay is going to come in tips. You're thankful for every single tip that you get. You're thankful for all of that. But then at the end of the day, you choose whether or not you want to actually report those tips to the IRS and then pay taxes on them. Know how legal this actually is, how doable this actually is. It's very interesting to see a president actually want to cut taxes again. I just don't know what he wants to do when it comes to the spending of America. I don't know what he wants to do to actually get the debt of America down. But that's going to be spending less money. So if America spends less money, then we could probably pay our debts down. But we need to actually cut the spending here. So former President Donald Trump said on Sunday that if he was reelected to the presidency in November, he wanted to change the tax code to exempt tip income from federal taxes, prompting loud cheers from the Las Vegas crowd. Trump, who stopped in Sin City after a whirlwind tour of the West Coast, told the audience that he wanted to push Congress to act, saying that he'd expect them to eliminate taxes on tips earned by restaurant and hospitality workers, which is a great thing, by the way. So this is the first time I've said this. Those hotel workers, people that get tips, you're going to be very happy because when I get to office, we're going to not charge tips on taxes, or not charge taxes on tips. On people making tips, Trump said. We're not going to do it. We're not going to do that right away. First thing in office and we're going to do it right away. First thing in office because that's the point of the contention for years and years and years. And you do a great job of service. You take care of people. Yeah, so this is yet again a very big win, another Trump win for the middle class Americans. Middle class Americans go through every single day. They're working their butt off. They have bills to pay at the end of the year. So even if we do save maybe $100 per week, that's $5,200 at the end of the year. So that's really good. So he's saving us a lot of money. So you can't complain about that. This is a very good thing for the service industry. I just can't. I would love this to happen right now. Joe Biden should just steal the idea and just do it right now. That would be awesome if Joe Biden was to do it, but Joe Biden's too stupid to do that. Talking about Joe Biden admin secretly tells Border Patrol to release migrants into the United States despite Biden's executive order. So the executive order, we all knew that was BS. We all knew that the Border Patrol is going to do whatever the Border Patrol wants, and the Border Patrol only can do certain things that Joe Biden tells them to do. Obviously, if he goes out front and he says, "Oh well, we're gonna be rejecting all migrants," and then the Border Patrol agents are commanded not to go along with that, but that's just what Biden was saying publicly, then of course this is going to be another one of Trump's pluses and Biden's negatives because of the fact that Joe Biden has failed us in this front, allowing more than 15 million immigrants to come into this country illegally. Coming into this country legally is a whole entire different conversation, but legally taking our jobs, stuff like that, is not a good thing whatsoever. So President Joe Biden's administration has instructed United States Border Patrol agents to release illegal aliens into the United States from all but 6 of the more 100 countries in the Eastern Hemisphere, rather than deport them. The Washington Examiner obtained the memo that Border Patrol agents were given by the Biden officials, which come immediately after Biden signed a weak executive order on immigration last week. And he claimed that he would shut down the border if it became overwhelmed, even though he had previously said that he couldn't do it. Numerous officials, elected leaders, and security experts have warned that Biden's executive order solves nothing and is little more than window dressing. Of course, because of the fact that if Joe Biden could do something, he would have did something. So why are you going to wait till now to do something if you actually cared about the problem? Not only that, but also because of the fact that the executive orders that he has implemented are only going to go so far because of the fact that he destroyed all of the protocols that Border Patrol actually had under Trump. So he destroyed this, and then signing one executive order, even though all of the other policies are destroyed, is not going to fix the problem here. So the instructions the Border Patrol's agents were given contradicts what senior Biden administration officials told reporters in a call on Tuesday would be the case for migrants from Eastern Hemisphere countries who traveled through multiple countries without seeking asylum in order to reach the United States, referred to extra hemispheric migrants, said Examiner border correspondent Anna Gurudidi. The report quoted Biden as saying, "Extra hemorrhagic migrants have always been a challenge. This was subject to these rules provisions, and we've been working with all governments around the world to enhance our ability to repatriate individuals to countries to have historically been challenging. We have, for example, operated repatriation flights to India, to China, to Uzbekistan, to Mauritania, in Senegal over the last few months, and all of those countries that historically would have been much more challenging for us to return individuals to, and blah 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 blah. Okay, so the Biden administration official has just been saying that if you go through multiple countries, then you're free to stay in this country. But if you just come from Mexico into America, then we're going to deport you. But then what's stopping you from coming back and then doing the same thing again and again and again and again until you're just not caught? So what's stopping this? The honor system, I guess? I don't know. It's just stupid. It's a very stupid situation when we're depending on the honor system or something like that, the magic fairies, to actually make sure that these people actually don't break the law. But they're breaking the law anyway because they do not care. This is not their country at the end of the day. The instructions that the Biden administration gave Border Patrol agents said that only individuals from Georgia, Moldova, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan will be referred for fast removal from the United States and not allowed to seek asylum. Everyone else who enters this country in the Eastern Hemisphere will be released into the United States and allowed to seek asylum. The Eastern Hemisphere includes all Middle East, Asia, most of Africa, and most of Europe. Fox News correspondent Bill Melgen said that the instructions amount to mass catch and release continues to illegal immigrants, as approximately 10 million has entered the United States under Biden. And that number is only increasing by the day. And it's sad. It's very sad seeing it. Joe Biden never wants to do anything to fix the actual problems. He only wants to create problems so he can be perceived as fixing it, even though he's not fixing it whatsoever. So with that being said, we're going to be digging into the media's takes.
No, I'm not a writer.
Okay.
According to CNN, Trump falsely claimed that he did not call to lock up Hillary Clinton. Now, of course, Trump claimed to try to lock up Hillary Clinton in the 2016 election, but at the same exact time here, when he left the campaign trail and actually got into the presidency, then things changed a little bit because of the fact that he said, wait a second, there's a unwritten rule about not prosecuting your political rivals. So how about if I continue down the path of actually preserving what America has here and not going above and beyond and prosecuting, even though Hillary Clinton can be prosecuted, I'm going to take it upon myself not to prosecute her, even though that's in the kindness of my own heart here. And that's in the kindness of my own dignity and my own Department of Justice and stuff like that, to not prosecute Hillary Clinton, even though there's so much to prosecute there. Trump never chose to prosecute Hillary Clinton. And because of the fact that he didn't, he was prosecuted himself. Because of the fact, if he was to prosecute Hillary Clinton, then he would have been prosecuted now. So I say that he should have prosecuted Hillary Clinton. And now, because of the fact that he's realizing that they're now going after him, I think that they should go back and say, no, we're going to prosecute you, Hillary Clinton. And the DOJ is just going to be a partisan hack, just like how it is now. What, we're going to let the Democrats take over the DOJ? And then what, the Republicans can't do anything about it? No, the Republicans are going to sit here and say, no, if you're going to take over the DOJ, we're going to take over the DOJ. And if you don't like it, then stop using the DOJ against your political rivals. That's exactly what we're going to do here. So, former President Donald Trump, according to this article, falsely claimed in the new interview that he did not make a lock her up call for the imprisonment of the Democratic opponent in 2016 presidential election, Hillary Clinton. Trump, who faces the possibility of a prison sentence after he was convicted last week on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records, was asked in an interview aired on Sunday on Fox News about what he had famously said, lock her up, in relation to Clinton, but did not jail her when he was president. Of course, because there was an unwritten law and an unwritten rule that you do not prosecute your political rivals. And this is so easy to follow if you have a IQ above room temperature. So with that being said, we do have another Daily Wire article. We have Jen Psaki. Trump isn't running for president. He's running to stay out of prison. Yes, because of you and your party. So former White House press secretary Jen Psaki claimed on Sunday that former President Donald Trump wasn't running a 2024 campaign because he wanted to win. Rather, she said that he was doing it solely because he saw it as a way to keep himself out of prison. Psaki made comments during Sunday's broadcast of her MSNBC's show Inside with Jen Sucky, and she argued that President Joe Biden's recent speech in Normandy, France, commemorating the 80th anniversary of D-Day, where he pooped his pants, was proof that his values were more aligned with the American people's values in poo-poo pants than Trump's are. Okay, so again, Joe Biden pooped his pants on D-Day, and Trump just constantly salutes our service members. He salutes everybody that has served for this country, and he has immense respect for the American people because he's an American himself. He grew up in New York. He grew up on McDonald's. He grew up closer to the average American, and he still eats like an average American than what Joe Biden ever was. Joe Biden grew up in Wilmington, Delaware, in the suburbs. Okay, you can go back and see his house. You can see that Joe Biden is growing up in the upper class people. And then as soon as he entered his government, he started selling out his positions of power for money throughout his career, that he was in the right field to actually get things done and fire prosecutors if they weren't doing what he wants. Like the audio that came out of Joe Biden saying that he asked a person investigating Burisma, which is a Ukrainian company, to get fired. And they said no, they weren't going to fire him. And then he said, well, I'm not going to give you funding then. And then he walked away. They called him 2 hours later and said, we will fire him. So, of course, he says, and I quote, oh, son of a bitch, he was fired. So that's what he says. That's what we can see happened, and all the storylines match up in that aspect. So, but Joe Biden's not the corrupt one, I guess. Just Trump is the corrupt one. Just does not make any sense. Sucky said that Biden's speech, which focused as much as on Ukraine as it did on D-Day, and included one story that appeared to have been ripped and only slightly modified from the late President Ronald Reagan's 1984 address, told the American people who he was and what he valued. And for that reason, it was important to pay attention to what he was saying while overseas. While most people saw Biden parroting Reagan's 40th anniversary remarks and assured that the president who had been in trouble for plagiarism in the past was simply at it again. The former White House press secretary spun the comparison as both good and intentional, right down to the fact that Biden gave his remarks on the same spot that Reagan had given his 40 years prior. To hear both of them now side by side, you'd think that almost completing each other's sentences as they speak about the sacrifice of those brave soldiers. Yes, but one pooped his pants and one didn't. That's what it boils down to. Because Ronald Reagan never pooped his pants. In D-Day, never clogged the toilet when he was meeting with the Pope. He never did any of that. So who's the embarrassment and who's not? Ronald Reagan is a star. He's a person that actually America looked up to and is still looked up upon today. Joe Biden is a empty shell of what he used to be. He constantly embarrasses America. He trips up going upstairs, and he fumbles and mumbles his way through speeches while in the middle of falling asleep during interviews. So that's not somebody that we want to have authority over America. We want somebody that commands respect. Just like how you see videos of Trump when he's walking behind people, he pushes them out of the way to get to the front. Obviously, that's a very dominant move. I would support that because of the fact that that's the president of America. You need to give that guy the room and let him by because he's the president of the United States. So, according to the next article, we have a Daily Wire article. We have Mayorkas slammed during interview over his border failures. Very hard to call that a success. So, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas struggled during an interview over the weekend when pressed about the Biden administration's repeated failures to secure the United States-Mexico border. So, Mayorkas was pressed hard over his failures during a Sunday interview with Martha Raddatz on ABC News this week while talking about Biden's border crisis. Raddatz asked him about Biden's executive order from last week that the critics and experts have widely penned as weak, which also comes after Biden previously claimed that he couldn't use executive orders to fix the problem. Of course, it's just stupid. This has been in place for 5 days now. What has been the impact? How many migrants have been turned away between those points of entry? Mayorkas refused to answer the question because of the fact that it is quote unquote very early stage. Okay, so if you would have did this 2 years prior, it would not have been early stage and you could have prevented this problem. Of course, Joe Biden didn't just want to because he wanted to let all of those illegal immigrants in first so they can vote in our elections and influence our decisions that we make in America. And then he will cut off the border. and he's going to try, quote unquote, to cut off the border. So, moving on to the next article, we actually have another Daily Wire article. We have Israel says hostages were held in home of journalists who wrote for Al Jazeera, which is a Gaza funded and Hamas funded newspaper in news channel. So of course, the public media group employs a person that works for the Hamas military, which is just disgusting. All three of the four Israeli hostages were rescued on Saturday were found in the home of Gaza-based journalists who has previously written for Al Jazeera. The hostages who were captured by Hamas terrorists during a brutal and unprovoked attacks on October 7th were discovered inside of the home of Al-Bialia al-Jamal. Jamal has written for Al Jazeera as early as 2018. Although the outlet has said that he was never an employee, he has been writing for the Palestinian Chronicle and serving as spokesperson for Gaza's Hamas-controlled labor ministry. Yeah, so they blur the lines over here. They said, well, he's not an employee. He's merely a person that we have writing for our articles that we actually pay for. So he does work for us. We pay him, but rest assured, he's not an employee. He's one of those people that, like an intern, but we pay them full time. So yeah, don't worry, he's not employed here. So it's just stupid. Israel has confirmed that Al Jazeera was killed on Saturday by special forces that raided and rescued hostages. The three of them, but no mention of his family. There's further proof that Hamas terrorist organization uses the civilian population as a human shield. The Israeli Defense Force said in a statement after special forces rescued the hostages from Al Jazeera's home in Nusrat, which was located near the refugee camp, of course, because these people just blend into the cities and the towns around them. So it makes them look like they're just a normal citizen, but in reality, they have some hostages next to them. They have some hostages in their home. So that's just very disgusting. So, with that being said, we do have another article. We have Arizona AG launches investigation into alleged pay-to-play scheme involving Katie Hobbs. So, the Arizona Attorney General's office announced an investigation into an alleged pay-to-play scheme involving Katie Hobbs. So, the Arizona Attorney General's office said on Thursday that it launched an investigation into an alleged pay-to-play scheme linked to Democrat Governor Katie Hobbs. Democrat Attorney General Chris Mayer's office sent a letter to the State Senator TJ Shop, explaining that the criminal division will probe whether any civil or criminal charges will be brought after a group home company received substantial benefits following a six-figure political contributions. Shop demanded that investigation after reported on the apparent payment scheme surfaced in the Arizona Republic. On Wednesday, the paper reported that the Sunshine Residential Homes, the state's largest provider in beds for those in need of the group home support, received a significant rate hike from the Department of Child Safety, DCS, after making donations from the Arizona Democratic Party in the governor's inauguration fund. The company received approval from DCS for a nearly 60% increase in rates charged to care for children. Meanwhile, the department took an altogether different approach on other providers. Arizona's Child Welfare Agency has for years sought to move vulnerable kids out of group homes and into family-like settings. The Arizona Republic reported to reduce the uses of group homes and combined with the budget constraints, the Arizona Department of Child Safety has denied pay increases to home operators and to cut loose 16 providers during the contract renewal process. No other standard group home provider, there are dozens, was approved for a rate increasing during Hobbs' tenure, the Arizona Republic reported. The company donated $100,000 to dark money fund for Hobbs' inauguration and gave $200,000 to state Democratic Party before the 2022 election. Okay, so they're actually prioritizing donating to inaugurations and donating to campaigns instead of actually caring for the children, which is their duty, which is exactly what they're there for. They're there to take care of the children. So why is it that they choose not to take care of the children that they're supposed to represent and supposed to take care of and care for? Instead, they're in the pocket of politicians that do not care about them whatsoever. It's just disgusting. The Arizona Republic cited a spokesperson for the governor's office, who denied Hobbs had any doing with the preferential rate increases, just like the past investigations into ingested by radical and partisan legislators. The administration will be cleared of wrongdoing. Hobbs spokesperson Christian Slayer told the Axios it would be outrageous to suggest her administration would not do what's right for the children in foster care. What? So that's take $300,000 for them? Hobbs won the decision by a little more than 17,000 votes. Republican opponent in the race, Carrie Lake, is now running for Senate seat currently occupied by retiring independent Senator Christian Sinema. Yeah, so of course, because of the fact that Katie Hobbs, which is a worm, which is like warm water, that's what I could explain her as. Nothing special about her whatsoever. She won because of the fact that Carrie Lake was just off the rails. And she just would not back down and stuff like that. She needed to say the things that would get her elected, and she was going so far that people just said, nah, I'm not going to deal with this anymore. So now they learned their lesson. You can't go off the rails, even in the reddest district. But at the same exact time, they learned their lesson into electing a Democrat, because this is exactly what you get from the Democratic Party, a circus show. So with that being said, we're going to do it for this episode right here. If you did like this episode and you do want to see more, please like and subscribe down below, because I do post new episodes of the show every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. And I know I have my allergies really, really bad. My nose is all clogged, if you could notice here. Not good whatsoever. It does not feel nice. This is exactly what New England does to me every single couple of months. So with that being said, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. And I hope they have a great rest of your day.